We lock and load, Alan Pass. It's the Alan Pass Show. Yeah. Where we lock and load. Come on. It's the Alan Pass Show. Yeah. Where we lock and load. Come on. It's the Alan Pass Show. Yeah. Where we lock and load. It's the Alan Pass Show. Yeah. Where we lock and load. Come on. Yeah.
Welcome everyone to the Alan Powell Show Tuesday night. Got a locked and loaded show for you tonight. A lot to discuss. We're going to try to get it all through within an hour, but it is a chance we might have to go a little bit over, but it's okay because it's needed. It's needed. The sheriff, Cliff Mason, is in the building. How's LA treating you, brother?
You know, it's going all right. We're back on campus at my school, so you know, new endeavors, new technology, new things to learn. But seeing kids' faces in person has been good.
That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. And then I got the guy who hooked me up with Cliff Mason, Mr. Attorney Justin Camper. Man, what's going on?
Glad to be here.
How's the legal world? What's going on out there in the legal world, man?
Yeah, I actually got a trial 8 o'clock, so make sure you hurry this up, okay?
Well, you something else, man. I ain't mad at him though. I'm not mad at you, brother. You gotta handle that business. But we're gonna be talking about the NBA play-in game, Hubert Davis press conference. The MLB moved the All-Star game because of the voting law. So I know Cliff got a lot to say about that. But first, we're gonna jump it off with another police shooting in Minnesota again. And a few of the Minnesota sports teams got shut down, postponed their games. A lot of them played today instead of yesterday, the scheduled game. And man, I seen the footage, and I just want to know, Justin, as an attorney, and I'm pretty sure that the family is probably going to, file some type of wrongful death suit or something like that. But what was just your initial thought if you've seen the video, or just your thoughts about it, period?
Yeah, I haven't seen the video. I just kind of read very briefly what happened. It just seemed like a sad situation. I know both sides pretty well. Al, as you know, I think Cliff knows well. Someone close to me is a police officer. And then also I worked as a prosecutor, but I've also been a black man in Chicago who's been mistreated by the police. So I know all sides of the angle, and it's just a really tough situation to be in.
And now that you mentioned it, man, I would love, because you like you have close contact with the police officer. What was the thoughts of the police officer? Or the procedure, like what would be the breakdown from the police officer that you connected with? What did y'all have a conversation? Did she break up, or did the police officer break down what happened, what went wrong, or what went right? Did any of that happen?
Not with this particular situation. This one's just very recent, so I didn't really get a chance to talk about this one, but definitely about a lot of the situation that has happened in the past, and we often disagree sometimes about what was the right move and what was the right reaction. So, do you expect a suit to come from the family? They paid. I think they paid George Floyd's family a certain amount. I forget the amount right off the top of my head, but do you said you definitely expect one? Yeah, I just want to say this. As they should. Go get your money. But I think a lot of people think they don't understand the difference between civil and criminal. And they oftentimes like, oh, well, if the family wants money, then why shouldn't they ask for the police to go to jail? Like, there's two separate things, two separate issues there. And, I think that, they should go get their money. But also, if the officer was wrong, and she broke the law, then she needs to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
Cliff, it's a lot of layers to this story. the woman who shot the fatal shot, she's the president of the union. So it's expected, that she's going to get a lot of, backing or covering from the union. She's, I think, 26 years on the force. The story is she thought the gun was a taser. I looked at some pictures. The gun is kind of like holstered like a taser. But it's no. I feel like, to me, it has to be consequences, whether it was a mistake or not. You cannot mistake and take a life and nothing happens. But what was just your thoughts when you heard the story and if you've seen the video?
So two big points. Kim Potter is her name. And first point, I'm a firearm owner, have been for many years. And I fired several different types of handguns, different calibers. And the weight, she was holding a Glock. You can see it it looked like it was a chambered in 9mm. So it could be a 17, it could be a 19, one of the two, a loaded handgun. And she's an officer, so there's no 10-round maximum capacity. It probably held between 15 and 17 rounds, right? So we're talking about some serious weight in her hand. Tasers ounces. So one, the sheer weight. But let's go back to this idea of officers first even having to engage their firearm. That's a heightened sense of fear that's associated with making that decision. And that comes with when you decide that you're going to escalate a situation to needing lethal force, there has to be some type of preceding events that would cause you to escalate to that point. The individual involved was not escalating to the point of lethal force. One, she didn't need, she never needed to escalate to that force. But beside that, let's think about her background. Her resume, you identified it. She's a 26-year veteran of the, because at first it was reported, she's been on the force around 20 years. And then when I did some diving last night, like actually looking at her background, it's like, she's been on the force 26. And I said, holy smokes. She's been a police officer almost as long as a lot of your viewers probably been alive. And so the idea that it was an accident, let's just take it, let's accept her excuse. I don't, but let's just for the sake of argument's sake, we're going to accept that it was an accident. So does that mean that now, because you have a badge, you can act with impunity? You can't just okay, I won't use the term because there's no conviction. You can't kill a person and say that it was accidental and you just walk away and there's no legal consequences. Because at the very least, the 26-year veteran has undergone hundreds of hours of training, has completed certification, and has probably led certifications because she's in positions of leadership. So there has to be a level of accountability. And the fact that she's a leader in her industry means that there has to be a heightened level of accountability. So at the very least, we're talking about negligent homicide. She's never, a white woman in this country that has a badge is never going to be convicted of murder. So people saying that there should be murder 2, murder 3 is not going to happen because we live in a country that is rooted in white supremacy. And that's going to be the case for as long as you and I have breath in our lungs. But the idea that she's not going to be, that there shouldn't be a charge of negligent homicide, to me is outlandish. Because if there's not a charge and conviction of a negligent homicide, what can you then hold police accountable for? That's my question.
This is my thing, though. It's been going on for a long time. And I agree with you that it shouldn't be like that. But this exact thing that you're talking about, it's been going on. When you have that badge, they've been getting away with things like this for a long time. It's just now starting to be brought up to the forefront. Justin, I want to ask you a question as we get a comments coming in. Mike Miller says, NWA said it best, F the police. That's not the fear, that's murder under badge's blanket. And both of those are valid points, and I'm going to get more in depth into his comments. But Justin, so Cliff said he's a gun owner. So he's saying that he can tell the difference. I'm not a gun owner myself. But based on what I've seen, I can see to me, and I completely believe she's in the wrong. But based on what I seen visually, the taser is orchestrated similar to a gun. Will she have a defense of accident, and could she possibly get off some kind of way?
Unfortunately, accident is not a defense under law under normal circumstances, but I mean, we're talking about the police. So I mean, no, I don't think accident is a defense. It's like Cliff said, it's negligent homicide. But I think that it's important to, and not to, diminish the fact that a life was lost. I mean, it's terrible. No life should be lost. But I know that when we have these conversations, typically we group everybody together, and I wouldn't group her and Derek Chauvin as the same person, and I wouldn't, and so I think there are levels, and it's important to explain, to break that down and to say, hey, no, Derek Chauvin should be guilty of first degree murder, right? She may have made a mistake or whatever, but she still is guilty of, negligent homicide, and she should be under that statute. So
let's get to these comments right quick. So Mike Miller says NWA said it best after police. So my thing is this: how with that comment, and I Mike Miller is my guy. I like him, but just based on that comment, the relations between community and police officers, I feel like it's getting worse and worse by these type of situations. And we know all police officers are not bad, but these situations keep driving the wedge even further.
Right.
I asked the question on a post: what can be done? Because we continue to think that, oh, this is the last straw, the George Floyd. We thought that was okay. On camera, we watched somebody die. We thought that was okay. Enough's enough. But still, even after that, we still seeing situations where people are getting killed when it shouldn't. A traffic stop for registration that's expired. Even the fact that I would say this: was he wrong for trying to get away or get back in the car? Yes, but did he deserve to die? No.
Right.
That's the issue that's at hand. No one should die for trying to get back in their car.
Right.
What can be done to to bring it back together instead of the wedge being further got the way?
Well, Cliff wrote books on this, so he has published articles around this.
Go ahead, Cliff. I'll let you attack it.
I want to respond to what Justin said earlier, because I couldn't agree more. I think the idea that Kim Potter is not Derek Chauvin. Well, and I think the biggest distinguishing factor between the two instances, between the killing of George Floyd and the killing of Dante Wright, is I don't think that there was a depraved indifference, and that's what the jury in the Derek Chauvin trial is going to have to grapple with. Was there depraved indifference to human life, right? Because essentially, did the officer act as if the individual was a human being and was deserving of humanity? In her case, I think that and that's why she won't get convicted of murder. It'll be negligence, and to Justin's point, there is no accident as a defense. To this idea of community and salvaging, I mean, my scholarship is really around the idea of education and who should be hired and in hiring practices. So that's a whole longer, boring conversation. The idea, I'll quickly, because I don't want to filibuster, but the idea that they're not all bad. I don't even entertain this usually. I will with you all. I usually don't even entertain this because the idea, they're not all bad apples. Sure, but like in my field, right? I'm a teacher. If one of my colleagues, if I learned, was taking money from students for grades, I would have an obligation, right, moral and otherwise, to report that, to take that up the ladder. I would have to do that. And if I didn't, and it was learned by the community that I didn't, there would be an expectation that I would lose my job. And the same would be true for any of my colleagues. The same is true in medicine. The same is true in accounting, right? We saw with the fiasco with Wells Fargo, because there was whistleblowers and people were held accountable, people lost their job. The same is true in virtually every industry with the exception of law enforcement. And so until there, if we look at the experience of the lieutenant, right, the person serving this country so that we all can be free, that black man, the lieutenant in Virginia, if it wasn't for the camera footage showing that he was completely calm, he was professional, he tried to communicate, the officer lied in the report and said he attacked me when I tried to open his door, when the video cameras show that that was a lie. If it wasn't for the cameras, we would only have the officer's word. And so of course his partner isn't going to go against him. And so this idea that they're not all bad apples, they're not all bad. But if you don't report the bad ones, how are you not bad? If you're aware and you hide it, if you're aware and you stay silent, if you're aware and you allow it to continue, if you're aware and you don't intervene, if you have awareness and you do nothing to stop it, of course you're bad. So the idea that they're not all bad apples, I challenge, because until I see more intervention from the good ones, how do I know you're not all bad?
Well,
let me
add.
Go ahead, Justin. Go ahead.
Well, I think you're right. I think you said a lot of true statements there. I think part of the problem is the culture, right? You know, it's just like why don't people in the hood snitch on the gangsters that live up the street, right? Well, it's a lot of negative consequences that can come to me if I try to snitch on them, you know. And most people that are officers, they're there to serve their community and to provide for their families, you know, like most people with jobs, right? And so I think that a part of that is, you're right, the good needs to start reporting with the bad. But however, a part of that needs to be some type of protective system put in place so that people can do that easily and not face any consequences, which is on bad government for not doing that, you know, not necessarily, you know, good police officers. Go ahead. I know you.
That's a great point. As you was talking, you put me in the mind of the movie Training Day, which is my favorite movie of all time, by the way. But if you remember that movie, Denzel tries to pin this murder on Ethan Hawke, who's going through Training Day. They end up killing this guy, and they said, and everybody who's with him, they said, who shot Roger? And they said he came through blasting. And he said, I didn't shoot Roger. And Denzel ends up threatening him, meaning like, if you don't go with this, it's going to be problems. Like, you're going to end up dead. And that, you put me in the mind frame of that kind of culture, which is horrible. But I want to get to another, the aspect I want to get to is, so it was sporting events postponed. Basketball games got postponed. Baseball games got postponed, and I think it was the Minnesota Wild, I believe. I think it made it my hockey that got postponed. But we remember last year how Milwaukee Bucks decided not to play. We are 1 day removed from 1 day or 2 days, I forget, removed from the shooting. Do you think it would be any ramifications where you think sporting teams won't play? Because the Yankees, Aaron Hicks, who was drafted by the Minnesota Twins, decided not to play for the Yankees because he got drafted by Minnesota. I believe he knows that area. It was too much for him to play. He did not want to play. Do you think, Cliff, that we're going to have any ramifications where teams or players will decide not to play and we're going to be dealing with the Milwaukee Bucks situation again?
It's possible, but if the question is, do I think it's more detrimental to fans than beneficial? I'd say no, because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not one of those shut up and dribble, right, folks? I don't espouse that ideology. I believe that these folks are paid a lot of money, and it's not just to entertain us. I think because of the influence they have over children and on society, I think that they have a right to use their platform to bring about social awareness. So if they're using their platform and they're saying, you know what, I'm going to withhold my skills and my presence because that's going to make a huge statement, then I'm all for it.
Justin, what do you think? Do you think we're going to have some of the similar things that we had last time with the George Floyd's? Not even George Floyd. It was the guy who got shot in Wisconsin. I forget his name, but when the police grabbed his shirt and shot him in the back.
Yeah.
James Blake.
I don't know. I think the real question is it strategic? Is it the right move? So I mean, sure, I think some people are going to do it. Are they going to do it for the right reasons? Are they doing it just to say that they are part of the movement, or are they going to really do something that's strategic, like, I don't know, fund a nonprofit that's doing the right work or something? I mean, the answer isn't always, not showing up to work. Sometimes the answer is showing up to work and maybe, using your influence at work to make an impact, or using the money that you have to make an impact. So, I'm not all about the semantics. I'm like, okay, what's the strategy here? Are you actually going to produce something by not showing up?
Well, let me say this, because I heard this rationale. I think I forget, Dan Le Batard, Charles Barkley, one of the guys that I heard. This could be a strategy based on the owners have the money and they fund certain politicians. And if the players force the owner's hand to, okay, if you're not going to get on board with us, we need you not, we as an owner, we need you not to back this candidate, or we're not playing. We don't know if it's going to go that far, but it's like a trickle down effect. If it goes all the way to the owners, to the politicians, because the owners fund the politicians by campaigns, money, and all of that stuff. And Cliff, you're the politics man. Break down. You probably can say it better than I can. But just tell how that goes.
I think it depends on, obviously, it depends on the league, and it depends on, and the reason I say it depends on the league is because the league determines how much power the players have. We saw this just a few months ago with Kelly Loeffler, right? And the owner of, I don't remember the name of the WNBA team in Atlanta.
Dream, the Atlanta Dream.
And we saw those players. We've never seen this in sports history. Every player on the Dream wore Vote Warnock, which was Raphael Warnock, her opponent in a Senate race. So the owner of the Dream for office, and essentially they were campaigning against her, and there was a threat to withhold services. And you talk, so to Justin's point, it's like, what are they going to do? Sometimes it's not about showing up to work. It depends on what the work is, right? For me, if I don't show up, then I'm hurting my kids. If the players don't show up, who are they hurting? People, you don't get to watch a game, right? So I think that's an example. And then now, if we think about the trickle down effect, to Al's point, what's the trickle down? She didn't get elected. That's a big deal. So I think they do have some power. Maybe we see some of that go on to other sports.
And I think she ended up selling the team. I forget to who, but I think she ended up selling the team. Like, the women were so gangster in how they did this, and it made me look like, dang, the women did this. Like, man, what y'all gonna do? Because if we being truthful, the fact that they did this, it's a positive and a negative. The positive is they can do this because it's not as big as the NBA, but at the same time, the men, it's like, y'all got the most power, but at the same time, it's a bigger risk at the same time as well. So it's like, it's a balancing act but I just applaud the women because they were so gangster and they move, man. But go ahead, Cliff.
And sadly, the league where this type of stuff needs to happen most often, the NFL, you wouldn't see it because, one, the players don't have the power because the players don't have this unity. The players in the NBA can take a knee if they wanted to. They could sit down. They could do what they want without fear of repercussion because they have the power. In the NFL, there's so much disunity that even the mere threat of losing your job or your roster spot is enough to make people have that slave mentality. We're going to just do what master says. And so you don't see this type of independence in the NFL. amongst players.
Well, I also think the fact that the NFL contracts are not guaranteed plays a part as well. Where the NBA contracts are guaranteed, they're going to get their money whether they get injured or not. NFL, you get injured, they cut you. It's not the same. So I think that's a big part of it, man. But man, I just can't believe that we're here again. That's the shocking part to me. Where do we go from here, Justin? Where do we go from here?
Well, I want to just say, and if he's not going to do it, I'm going to do it. Cliff has literally wrote mountains of articles on this exact topic when we were in law school. So I'll say Google Cliff Mason and find those articles. And he gives a bunch of different suggestions that would take more than an hour. But I would say that we're not going to have immediate change, number one. Number two, we have to think about a good strategy. We got to, John Maxwell said, everything rises and falls on leadership. So we need better leaders. We need better governmental leaders. We need better people who are in the police position. And we need better, higher up. We need better superintendents, better mayors. We need better leadership. And we need better strategies on how to fix the situation. We don't need people just so anti-police and, screw the police. We don't just need that. We don't need people who just straight pro police. Police never do anything wrong. We need a community to be able to work together, some type of strategy to be able to find a middle ground, and not just, be arguing over Facebook. And then when it happens again, we're complaining again.
Got you. Before we move on, I got one more. So Cliff put on there, are they serving their community if they don't live there or have a connection to the community? Justin, what do you think about that? What put up there?
Like I said, I know someone who actually works for Chicago PD. The way that they set up what district you go to is a complicated system in politics, and it's partly how close you live there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, some of them, are connected to the community, and some of them are not. And it's really hard when we have these conversations, because it's like, okay, when we talk about policing, what are we talking about? Are we talking about main city, like big cities like Chicago, Baltimore? Are we talking about suburbs? Because they are very well connected with their community. You go to a suburban area, the police is extremely connected. They don't do any work. It's nothing going on there. So I think it's just important to really break things down. And I think that cities are different. I just hate that people keep grouping this all together. All police are racist or supremacists, and all cities need, to change. I think it really needs to be broken down and analyzed per case by case scenario. In some scenarios,
the institution of policing is racist. I mean, we know it stems
from the foundation. Yes,
slave patrols. I mean, there was no police before there were slave patrols. That's their origin. So if we're thinking like at a foundational level, it's racist, all right.
Right.
I hear. Yeah.
Right. So before we move on to our, I got some WrestleMania talk I'm going to get to. I got two guys I got to bring in to talk because I haven't watched wrestling since like Stone Cold and The Rock. But I want to acknowledge that WrestleMania is a big deal. And so I'm going to let them go at it and break down what happened and if it lived up to the hype. But before we get to them, the press conference that the police chief did, it came off as forthright. It came off as and just to me, I don't know if it was because it was a body cam or whatever the case, but it didn't seem like the George Floyd case, and it didn't seem like other press conferences that I've seen in the past. It seems like they actually want to do things the right way. Cliff, did you get that vibe, or it was all because of the body cam?
You think they want to do things the right? You talking about Virginia with the lieutenant, or you talking about Dante Wright?
Dante Wright.
No, the guy came out and said, "Oh, it was an accident." He was pretty dismissive of what took place. The police chief?
I mean, yeah. Okay, so listen. I'm saying that I think it possibly could have been an accident, but she still needs to be held accountable.
But he didn't
That's
say
what
that.
I'm saying.
I think there should. I don't think there was.
Of course. Wait, time out. Yeah. Of course, he's on a force. He's not going to say she needs to be held accountable, but he did seem like he reported it exactly the way I seen it on camera.
What I do appreciate was, and he acknowledged, they released the body cam footage pretty quickly.
Right.
Whereas we didn't see that with like other cases. That's it. Like the Floyd. Heck, if we're watching the trial, 2 weeks ago was the first time we saw a lot of that body cam footage. It was never released. So in that regard, sure, but I think his statement was trash. I mean, if you got a black police chief, right, in Minneapolis who's actually connected, or not in Minneapolis, but I forget where the gentleman's from, but who's connected to the community, people recognized him. They were like, yeah, we expected him to make that statement because he knows us and he's connected to us. So I wouldn't compare what that clown said 2 days ago versus the Floyd interactions with the press.
Got Justin, did you see the press conference?
I didn't catch it. No.
Okay. When you get a chance, check it out. Let me know what you think. So listen, everybody who's watching, y'all share the live real quick. Share the live so your people can see it. Post your comments. We will post them and talk about your comments. We're gonna move segue until WrestleMania 37 happened over the weekend. It was a 2-day event. I haven't watched wrestling myself. Maybe since I was in middle school, I believe. But I have 2 guys that are fanatics. I call them my analysts. I'm going to let them break it down and let them hype it up, and maybe we will watch it again. First, before I bring them in, Justin, Cliff, did you any wrestling? Did you tune in to any of the WrestleMania? Are you into wrestling?
As a kid, I mean, I was the 1, 2, 3 Kid was probably my favorite. I love me some 1, 2, 3 Kid and Shawn Michaels.
Is that 1, 2, 3 Kid? Was that X-Pac?
I think he did turn into.
You
way back there.
He went way back.
I never heard it.
Okay. Without further ado, wrestling analyst Danny Doing, wrestling analyst Cleo, and Cleo is probably the biggest wrestling fan that I know. This brother comes to events with championship belts. I mean, this dude, if you seen the picture that I posted as a preview, you seen he had 2 belts on, and he looked like he was at work. Yeah, I know. That brother has no shame where he's going. He don't care. He's gonna wear his championship belt. Thank you for joining the show, Danny. He's also a big fan. So I'm gonna give you all to the floor, and Danny, lead us off. Tell us about what you thought about WrestleMania 37, and then Cleo, you go next.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right, WrestleMania this year. A couple positives. Fans are back for WrestleMania, so that was a big deal. There was some decent matches, but they need to pick it up again because they're going to start losing more fans soon, if you ask me. So my favorite part of the whole event was actually night 2. The significance of the fight. You had Edge versus Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns. And Edge and Daniel Bryan were both told they were never going to wrestle again. And Roman Reigns just beat a battle with leukemia. So it was kind of really cool to see all them 3 in a main event of WrestleMania. And Bad Bunny, never heard of the guy till he showed up in WrestleMania, but he balled out in that ring. That was pretty cool watching this rapper Bad Bunny do his thing in there. Can't speak English, but he can wrestle.
Okay, Cleo, man. What you got for me?
Yo, Justin, Cliff, you gotta go back to your roots, go back to your childhood, get there. I'm trying to tell you cannot do this. You have to go back. Okay. So here's an interlude. Every WrestleMania, every event, we do something at my house. We cook. We got the full spread. So y'all welcome to come over and have fun. You can wear your mask. You don't have to do whatsoever you want to, but you're gonna come over there and have fun. So people People will get kicked out saying the wrong thing at my house. People will
Oh
risk injuries.
man.
My kids have almost suffered injuries laying on me while I'm watching wrestling. Don't do that. So, so here's what happened. Actually, night 1, I got sick. I didn't watch it. Night 2, I felt better. And
wait, stop, pause,
Nope.
pause,
Okay.
pause, stop. Hold on. Did this brother say night 1 he got sick and he didn't watch it?
yeah,
I never would have thought that a sickness would put Cleo off of viewership from WrestleMania. WrestleMania is like the Super Bowl of wrestling. Am I right or wrong?
you right.
You're
It's
right.
our Stanley Cups. You're right. It's our Stanley Cup. You're right.
Wait, when you say you were sick, were you like on your? I don't want to call it the deathbed, but
Right.
but how bad was the sickness?
Okay, so when you got a good woman in your life, they look out for you. They like, So it was one of those situations, especially when they spirit led. When they spirit led, that's
Sounds like you need to give her the figure 4 and watch wrestling.
you in my mind. You in my mind.
Hold on, man. I got some follow-up questions. Because the story is getting more interesting as we get into it. And I don't mean to go off to the side, but I did meet this young lady recently, right? Right, Cliff? I mean, Cleo. I'm sorry, Cleo. I did meet this young lady, right?
Right.
Don't go nowhere. Don't. All right, I'm not gonna throw you under the bus. I'm gonna just follow me. I did meet this young lady. So because it sounds like you might have not. You if it was up to you, you would have watched.
Yes.
But she believes that your adrenaline would have been too high for your sickness, and it wouldn't have agreed with your body. Does that sound about right?
Et tu, Brute? Yes.
What just happened there? Did he just say some French or something? What just happened?
That means you're a traitor. You Judas. That's what that means.
Who, me?
No, her. She wouldn't let me.
Oh.
Yes. So when she was like, "Hey, babe, you're not feeling well. Sit down. You need to rest." I'm like, "Et tu, Brute? Judas? No."
Oh my goodness. Okay. 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 All right. So back to the story. If you would have watched WrestleMania day 1, would you have been like jumping up and down in your living room? Like what would Cleo have done if you would have watched day 1 of WrestleMania?
So Cleo did watch WrestleMania 1 yesterday.
Wait, time out. I know I said Cleo, but are you going to talk in third person too? Are we going to do that right now?
Okay. Here you go. I watched WrestleMania yesterday, though it was Saturday. And while I watched it yesterday, I was clowning as if it was in play right now in front of my eyes. I enjoyed myself. The beginning match, Drew and Lashley, they tore the floor up. They set the tone for the rest of the night. I don't even know how they should get paid. They should get an advance to what they did. They tore the floor up. Like, I thought Drew was going to take that. Now Drew is like at the bottom of the toll now to get his belt back. Drew lost horribly.
No, actually, Drew's got another title shot at the next pay-per-view.
When?
WrestleMania Backlash. Yep.
So y'all
I don't know
won a
who
triple
Drew
threat
is.
match on Raw last night.
I don't know who Drew is. I have heard of Roman Reigns. I've heard of Edge.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, Cleo, to me, I feel like the story of your sickness and watching WrestleMania is more interesting than the actual WrestleMania 37. That's just my opinion. So go ahead, Cliff.
Can I just ask a quick question to the actual aficionados? So you telling me I grew up with names like The Undertaker and Crush, Ultimate Warrior, Ric Flair, woo! And there's a guy named Drew, he's like big time?
Drew McIntyre, yep.
Drew McIntyre is a
Drew.
beast.
He couldn't think of a
He just
nickname.
used his regular name?
You know not of what you speak. Drew is a beast.
His name should be Beast. That's better than Drew.
Oh,
No, that's Brock Lesnar.
That's Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is the beast incarnate.
Yep.
Okay.
So here's
All right. So
here's okay.
go ahead.
So here's
Go ahead, Cleo.
Here's an amazing concept. Typically, every WrestleMania they bring somebody old back. This year they didn't do that. They let the new guys have their show, and it was amazing. They didn't bring anyone old back except for Hulk Hogan, and the other guy, and they were just announcers.
Yeah, they were the host.
Yeah, they were the hosts, and that's it. They let the new guys do their thing, which is all hats off to WWE for doing that, because the new guys deserve their plateau.
Okay, so last question I got. Back to your sickness and watching WrestleMania. So I want to finish this little situation up, and then I'm gonna give y'all the floor to tell the people what's coming up in wrestling, and if you want to get them excited about something, I'm gonna let you do that. But Cleo, so all right, you were sick the first day. She said, you can't do it. I ain't gonna let you do it. All right, cool. The second day, when you woke up, the second day, it sounded like a Jesus story or something. But the second day, all right, the second day, when you rose from the bed,
yeah,
did you automatically feel good, or did you convince her that you was well enough to watch it the second day? How did that go? Give me a play-by-play of the second day when you woke up. How did it go?
Play-by-play. Toward the conclusion of the night, I felt full healness, full restoration in the interwoven fabrics of my being. And I knew I was walking in the newness of my healing to receive. Therefore, the next day, I was going to embark on my journey, not to Damascus, but to WrestleMania night 2. And I'm telling you, it was oh so glory.
Pause. Justin, do you believe that either he prayed over himself or she prayed over him and maybe put some oil on his head? Does any of that take place for him to be healed the second day? Do you think so? What if Justin had to envision what happened to Cleo the night before and the night after? How did he get well enough to watch day 2? Justin, you know this, brother. Tell me, what do you think happened?
I think he got some healing. I don't know what kind, but he got healed for sure.
I think they had a match, and if he won, he got to watch it. So he must have won.
All right, so Cleo. All right. So if you got healed, you watched the second day. How was the second day for you?
Okay, so it was kind of biased. I'm gonna be honest. It was biased because, for 2 nights, even at my house while I was there, the second night while I wasn't there, the first night, my house was still packed. So everybody that was there the first night said WrestleMania 1 was crazy. They really set the high tone. But then WrestleMania 2, they was like, they really gonna have to step their game up to compete with what they did on WrestleMania 1. So while I was there with everybody else who seen 1, and I didn't see it at that time, everybody was tripped. They was like, this ain't nothing. This ain't nothing. It was like, but when you see night 1, you will understand why we saying this ain't nothing. So I'm like, okay, well, let me enjoy it. But for me, without seeing it, it was awesome. It was still good because, oh man,
you all right? You okay?
I'm having a brain freeze because it was that awesome. It was that amazing. Like,
probably still sick.
The girls, the women, toward the end, Natalia.
Oh yeah. So, I want to ask y'all about that. So, it was this the first black woman to win a title? I did see a highlight of that.
Go ahead, Danny.
Would you consider Sasha Banks black?
Yeah, she's African American.
Is she?
Yeah. So no, she's the second woman probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's the second one. But yeah, she's good.
So
she's good. She's actually married to one of the wrestlers there too. So they're really good.
Historically. Historically, this is the first time 2 black women has main event
WrestleMania.
Right.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Sasha Banks, I don't know if you guys knew this, but she's actually her uncle's actually Snoop Dogg.
Oh. Oh, breaking news!
He-
Look at Danny.
yeah,
Every time Danny come on the show, he breaks some news that I did not know.
Yeah, that's why Sasha Banks' theme song has Snoop Dogg in it.
Yep.
Wow.
And what was it?
Snoop is everywhere.
Was it last year? Was it last year's WrestleMania or the year before? Snoop Dogg actually sang her out to the ring.
Year before last.
Year before last,
Wow.
yeah. Snoop Dogg was actually there and sang her out to the ring. It's pretty cool, the stars that are getting involved with WWE nowadays.
Yeah. Wale.
Wow,
a Big E.
That's good stuff. You never know what kind of news you're going to get on the Alan Powell Show. Okay, before we let y'all go get up out of here, man, and I thank y'all again for y'all time. If you're trying to convince us a reason why we should get back into it, Danny, what is that reason? You go first, and I'm gonna let you go, Cleo.
Okay.
In a hot minute.
I can show you guys how much the sharpshooter hurts. But other than if you think it's fake, I could show you that much at least. But no, I'm not gonna lie to you. I faded away a little when they left the fans, and WWE storyline hasn't been the greatest. They need to fix that. But I'm loyal, always have been. So I've been watching it since I was a little kid. I'm gonna keep watching it. But to be honest with you, AEW is where it's at right now. If you guys remember, the old WCW, AEW is like a mix of WWE and WCW put together, and it is amazing. They let the wrestlers be themselves and everything. So if you're losing faith on WWE, still watch it for something to do, but go watch AEW too, because it's going to bring your faith back in wrestling. And then WWE, I'm sure, is eventually going to get better. But as of right now, AEW is where it's at.
I appreciate that take. I'm curious to see what Cleo has to say to that. Do you agree? Are you offended by what Danny just said? Because opposing the WWE. What are your thoughts about what Danny said? And what if you want to convince us to get back into it? What would you say?
I agree with what Danny just said. However,
wow.
I guess I'm biased because I still love WWE. I'm getting a custom WWE belt made right now. Spend a lot of money getting it custom made. What I would say to introduce people to come back to it is, there's a scripture in that says, despise not the days of your youth. Sometimes it's okay to revisit what you once used to know or what brought you back to the old days. There's a scent that we smell that brings us back. There's a piece of fabric. There's that one thing in the back of your mind that triggers you back to the days of your youth. And a lot of people say, I remember when I used to. And wrestling is that one thing that will bring you back to your youth.
Absolutely. If you want to feel like a kid again, you go back to wrestling.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we want to get our youth back, Justin, Cleo, if you want to feel younger again, they say get back into wrestling. Hey, man, listen, I appreciate y'all brothers coming in, dropping that wrestling knowledge, man. I'll be hitting y'all up in the near future. Daddy doing Cleo. Appreciate y'all. Holla at y'all another time.
Have a good night, fellas.
All right, so listen, we got our wrestling fix for the day. I got a couple more stories I got to get into. Justin, I know you got something you got to do, so if you need to leave, feel free. But I do need to bring up a few other topics. Man, I don't know where to start. I want to get to this video. So, Justin, Hubert Davis, he's a former basketball player, used to play for the Knicks. He got a new head coaching job in North Carolina. And in his introductory press conference, he said a few things. So I'm going to play this audio, and I want you all to tell me what you all think as I play the audio. So let's see if I can get this going. Let's see. Here we go.
Coach at UNC men's basketball.
Can y'all hear it?
I know that in terms of Division I head coaches all around the country, only 26% of the head coaches for Division I men's basketball are compromised by minorities, specifically African Americans. I know that it is significant that I'm the fourth African American head coach in any sport in the history of the University of North Carolina. I'm very proud to be African American, but I'm also very proud that my wife is white. And I'm very proud that my 3 beautiful, unbelievable kids are a combination of both of us.
All right. I'm gonna stop right there. As you heard what he said, as you hear that, the look on Cliff's face. Oh my goodness, that's not supposed to happen. Oh my goodness, what just happened? Wait a minute.
What happened?
Okay. All right. I don't know if anybody heard that. Some technical stuff happened, but y'all heard the video. Cliff face was priceless, but I don't want to go to Cliff first because his face told it all. Justin, what was your thoughts?
Why you gotta go to me first?
Because I got a feel of what Cliff is going to say. I don't know what you're going to say. What was your thoughts on the Hubert Davis introductory press conference for North Carolina?
Well, I wish he would have explained himself so I can kind of evaluate that. I'm gonna go with what I think he was trying to say, and then I'm gonna give you my feedback on it. I think he was trying to say that black is great and white is great too. So, I'm not just here, just saying black. I'm pro-black and I'm great. I'm black because I'm great because I'm a black man in this position, but I'm also want to promote the fact that we need to come together. I think that's kind of the logic he was trying to go with. My thing is, man, I feel like a lot of these statements promote self-hate. Not to there's anything wrong with dating white women. I think that when you say it in a way that he's saying, like, it's like black people can't just be proud to be black. Oh, black is beautiful, but white is beautiful too. And, Asian is beautiful too. Like, no, just say black is beautiful. That's a beautiful statement in and of itself. And historically, we've been told that we're not beautiful. So, yes, I'm going to promote it every time I can. I'm going to say, yeah, black is beautiful. And it's ingrained all in our culture and our society and the TV that black is not beautiful. So, yes, it's okay to embrace the fact that you're a black man. You love being a black man. You don't have to counteract it and say, oh, let me not offend the white people and say I'm white. I got a white wife, you guys. So that's my comment. Somebody was saying, I saw one of the comments said that, he basically was saying I'm black, but not blackity black. I thought I was pretty funny.
Good. That's great. Oh, that's great. Because that I can envision that. I definitely can picture that. Go ahead, Cliff.
So this first comment's probably going to strike a few people. He's a damn coon for what he said. Facts are facts. He a coon. What he's saying is, I appreciate you trying to soften it, Justin, but no, let's call it what it is. What he's saying is, I'm black, but I'm a safe black. You can count on me, master, to do the job and to do it well. I'm not going to offend nobody out here. I'm just going to coach this ball. He's saying he's shucking it. I mean, he's over there shucking it. He's jiving, and he's over here playing the role. And I know I'm throwing out all the terms because this is what it was. I'm proud that I have a white wife. Nobody asked you that. This is a press conference about your basketball acumen. You had to talk about what you plan to do recruitment-wise, what you plan to do strategy-wise on and off the court to make sure that these young men are graduating, to make sure that these young men are becoming men because they're boys leaving high school, to make sure that their experience on and off the court is progressive and productive. You injecting the race of your wife is wholly irrelevant. But the fact that you said you're proud to have a white wife, to me, is also indirectly saying that you wouldn't be proud if you had a black wife. Because to Justin's point, he could have said that. And so the lack of specificity in his statement makes it sting that much more. He's a black man. That means, guess what? He was born from a black woman. Are you not proud that your mom is black? Are you not proud that if you have siblings, they might be black? Are you not proud of your black nieces and nephews? So this idea that I'm proud that my wife is white, I could not have been more offended and disgusted by that statement. He's too smart, and too familiar with race relations in this country. A better statement would have been, I'm proud that despite the racial dynamics in this country at this time that the university had the courage to hire a black man, and I'm going to do the best job that I can. Period. Everything else.
Yeah.
Everything else he said, I think, detracted from anything he could accomplish. And this is going to be my first time in my 35 years on this earth not cheering for North Carolina. I grew up a North Carolina fan. I thought I was going to die a North Carolina fan. I can't in good conscience support that university. I'm not going to cheer for them. I'm not going to cheer for Duke because that's a whole nother racial issue they got going on. But I'm just not cheering for North Carolina. Sorry, not sorry.
Justin, do you think, well, first of all, let me address the bombs that he threw all out there in that 2-minute soliloquy that he just dropped, like bombs left to the bomb to the left, bomb to the right, bomb to the gut. I'm glad that it's Hubert not on this show listening because it was some bombs. But he said he's not even gonna cheer for North Carolina no more. Is that taking it too far, Justin? Do you think that's taking it too far? Like, is he getting?
I mean, it's typical Cliff, but I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think if he doubled down on it, then I would get more angry. Like, oh, so you're gonna just justify this stupidity you just said? I think that he could have made a mistake and just said it. His outside of that one statement. I mean, he has a great record. It's like he's going to be a great coach, So I'm not a North Carolina fan anyway, but I think he seemed like he's going to be a solid dude. I just don't. I want him to give some feedback. Like, okay, are you going to apologize? Are you going to double down? I'm proud of my white wife. Don't tell me I can't. So I want to see what his reaction is for my anger comes out, but I totally get where he's coming from. It was a very offensive statement. Very, very offensive.
And I think my thing is what Cliff said too, is nobody asked you for that. Like, you just, I feel like he just stabbed himself for no reason. Stab yourself for. Nobody asked you that. You had no reason to offer that part of your thought process. Like, especially in today's time, with what's going on, and you're gonna offer, that's what you offer? That's what you offer. Oh, I'm proud of my wife. My wife is white. What, bruh? I don't get it, man. It was a shocker. But I just had to get the thoughts and opinions on it. I know it's getting close to time. We're gonna have to go over today. Justin, if you gotta leave, go ahead. But it's a couple of stories I gotta get to, man. If you got time, Justin, before you get up out of here. Alabama fan dies from COVID after attending the NCAA tournament. He was an Alabama fan. They said he died after attending the tournament. I was thinking something like this was going to eventually happen. It has happened in college basketball. Is this going to be a problem going forward with other sports where they might have people that either die or just catch it and from these different stadiums? And will the stadiums be liable, or are they putting themselves at their own risk because they came to the event? Justin, what would if a family came to you and say, hey, I want to sue because he died on their property? How would that go?
Oh man. It's a lot of fact gathering. I will almost bet that they made them sign something saying that if you catch COVID, you're not going to hold us responsible. Will that hold up in court? I don't know, but I'm pretty certain that Alabama had, or the NCAA had some attorneys have them sign some type of waiver. I think that it's a sad situation, but just putting my lawyer hat on, I mean, it's really hard to prove that he got it from the game. I mean, he could have gotten it when he walked outside. He could have gotten it, on a bus, on a train. I mean, it's like so many ways he could have gotten it. I don't see how you can really. It's gonna be really hard to really hold someone responsible Well, and then what were they doing negligent? It seemed like everybody was wearing masks and like everybody might have been social distancing. So, I mean, I would just need a lot more facts to be able to say I'm going to blame the NCAA for why this guy got COVID.
Go ahead, Cliff.
I think of 3 words, and I think the death is tragic because, like Justin said earlier in the show, I mean, all death, right, is tragic, with the exception, I imagine, of old age. But I think of 3 words. He assumed the risk, not the he, but assumed the risk. I mean, if you attend a sporting event with a large crowd in this era, when I'm not saying this era, I'm referring to this COVID era, I think you're assuming a risk that there can be a contraction of a disease that we know to be fatal. And he knew or should have known that the disease could be fatal. So to Justin's point, I'm not really sure what the claim of action would be here, because I mean, essentially he assumed all the risk and still attended this event with knowing that there's a potential for contracting a disease. And he probably, I'm assuming he probably didn't have a vaccine, because it dramatically diminishes having severe symptoms as a result of COVID. It doesn't prevent you from catching COVID, but death is highly unlikely after having a vaccination. So yeah, he assumed a big risk, and unfortunately he paid a price.
Yeah.
That's a good analysis. And Justin, I like what you said when you said he could have caught it outside of the arena.
Yep.
But it seems like everybody's trying to put it on the NCAA tournament. All the stories that I'm reading, they not saying, oh, he could have caught it here or there. Everything that I'm saying is like, oh, he definitely caught it from the NCAA tournament. Is there a reason why it's getting put on the tournament?
They have money. You always go to the person with money.
so you do think hey, we're gonna go after people with the money because it's a possibility we might be able to get some.
Right. That's a strategy.
Got you.
I'm not saying I use that strategy, but it is a strategy.
Got you. A couple more stories, man. The MLB, Cliff. I know you got something to say about this. The MLB moved the All-Star game from Atlanta to Colorado over the voting law. I got some questions because I actually had a discussion with my wife. I don't know all the ins and outs of the voting law, but from what I've seen, it seems like they making people making them have to get an ID to vote. That's one of the things that I saw. The other thing that I saw so let's address that first one. I didn't get. I was like, what's the big deal with having to get an ID? I feel like I show my ID to go to vote myself. So I didn't get that part. So break it down for me.
So these laws, they're going back to kind of these draconian Jim Crow laws. It's not just you have to get a special identification. But we got to remember, there's individuals in parts of the community, elder folks with certain illnesses. They don't have access to getting these cards. It's not like the DMV is traveling now to their home to get them a card. So it's not convenient for everyone to obtain a special identification. And also, if we think about certain age groups and where people are in terms of their proximity to an office where you can acquire an identification, it's not like you can just mail something in and get something back in the mail. Sometimes you have to show up in person. But also, what these laws did was close early voting hours. It closed a bunch of polling sites. It eliminated early voting. It stopped people from bringing water or food or substance to somebody standing in line. They're doing a whole lot of things essentially to stop people with melanin in their skin from voting.
That was my biggest issue when I seen that they don't want to hand out water. What? Why? What harm is?
Okay, sorry.
Go ahead, Justin. I'm saying what harm is handing out water?
Well, what they were saying is that they don't want undue influence. Basically, like one particular candidate handing out water to
and promoting a certain party.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So, Justin, let me ask you this: do you think that passing out water is a bad thing or a good thing?
That's a trick question. I mean, of course, I think passing out water is a great thing. No, but I do understand. you don't want undue influence to a certain extent. I think it's BS. For me, I would have to look at, okay, what are the statistics that fraud is coming upon? I'm all about, preventing fraud, but if there is nothing that shows fraud and you just all of a sudden imposing, it just sounds like you just sorry that they voted a way that you didn't like. So I think that needs to be the on the front. Secondly, why did they wait too late? They waited too late. We need to get on things before it becomes law. So I think that is the bigger problem too. Where is all this stuff becoming aware after things have been in place? My third thing is that I think MLB made a terrible decision because sports. It's okay to. I think that LeBron's the athletes, they have a right to speak up, have their opinion, speak up on politics, be pro-Trump, be pro-Biden. I don't care, but organizations, they have to be. I believe they should be non-biased, not whatever the culture says or what is, they think is popular at the time. I think that's very dangerous. A lot of Atlanta lost because of that, and so I don't think that was the right move on MLB.
That's the interesting take. Cliff, go ahead.
So this is the problem, and folks are falling into this. You got to realize Major League Baseball is an entertainment industry, right? It's about money. People are making a mistake assuming that the Major League Baseball decided to pull out of Atlanta to make a political statement. They don't give a damn about politics. They care about the almighty dollar. That was corporations putting pressure on Major League Baseball saying, this is going to impact our bottom line. You're going to lose out on commercial dollars because we're not going to advertise if you're holding this event in this place, because now this is a reflection of who we support. That wasn't an MLB decision. That was a decision from the folks who are paying them. And people got to make that connection. This isn't Major League Baseball, like MLB good, NFL bad, NBA, I don't know. This is Major League Baseball making a decision based on profits. Those corporations were going to pull out of their advertisements if the All-Star game was held in Atlanta as a result of Georgia's decision. This is above them, because otherwise, if they don't and those corporations pull out, you can't have an All-Star game that's essentially non-funded. Then they'll lose money. That's the first part.
Go ahead, Cliff. I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
The second part. Now, see, I forgot my train of thought. I wanted to respond to Justin. I wanted to respond to the second thing that Justin said. What was your last point, Justin?
I know you're talking about LeBron. Wait, you might have addressed that already. I don't know.
It's fine.
Justin. So this is what I would say. I kind of agree with Justin in the sense that they were supposed to honor Hank Aaron, who recently passed, and he played for the Braves. Now they can't do that because they moved the game to Colorado. Are they going to lose money? Yes. Is it all about the money? Yes. Could they still have funded it even if they lost the money? Yes. That's the thing. They still could have did it. The thing is, this almighty dollar. It's like, man, y'all act like y'all not going to be able to function if y'all lose some money. Like they don't have enough money. Like, stop it. But I know the millionaire, billionaire mindset is, I can't lose no money. No matter what it is, we got to go. And it's ridiculous. And I agree. I think I agree with Justin. Like, but it's double-edged sword, because I do feel that sports can play a big part in finding solutions to problems. But at the same time, I feel like you shouldn't make a drastic move like this. You can speak your piece, but don't, like Justin say, all these people are going to lose out on money. The Atlanta, the bars, the hotels, all these people are losing out because go ahead, Cliff.
Good. In Birmingham with the bus boycott, who lost out on money? You have to make bold statements and do bold things to get to make bold progress. So if people in Georgia are losing out, they should hold their elected officials accountable and say, you change this, because now that the MLB did it, guess what? The NHL might follow suit. The NBA might follow suit. The NFL, well, not the NFL, but you're going to have other organizations that decide the same thing. A corporation that was thinking about expanding, they're not going to expand into Georgia. I think that puts pressure on them. And I think we can compare this, not to diminish what was evil, like what took place in the civil rights movement. But yeah, sometimes this is a capitalistic society and you have to, use your wallet to help make decisions, to help get progress made. So to me, if this motivates people in Georgia to elect officials that are going to do what's in their best interest, not in their best political interest, then it's good. And if people in Atlanta lose money, sorry, but I'm not sorry, because the law is trash and people have been more impacted by being disenfranchised than by not having a baseball game played there.
Can I respond?
Go ahead, Justin.
Well, okay, so I hear you. I also wanted draw attention that we're hurting small businesses and corporations are winning. The corporations are the ones with the power, not the small business owners. So that's number one. We need to be pro. I'm very pro small business owner. I'm a small business attorney. So justincampbelllaw.com, look me up. But no, just play. But that's my first point. Secondly, I believe Mayor Keisha Bottoms spoke out against it. Atlanta wasn't for this. So, I mean, to put it against Atlanta, you're not really. Atlanta was already saying this is a bad law. Like, so I don't think it was right to hurt Atlanta, who was against it. If you were in, the capital or something, I don't know. I don't know. I just think it was. If you're going to hurt someone, hurt a corporation, so hurt someone who can deal with the hurt and has the power, has more power to change some things. Now, don't hurt the small business owners who's trying to feed their family.
Also, a lot of the black community too, right, Justin?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead, Cliff. You
reminded me of my point from earlier because you talked about corporations, and I was going to say, because you said that you think corporations should stay neutral.
No, not corporations.
I think he's talking about the league. I think he's talking about the league. I
think he's comparing corporations and businesses, like saying, like essentially, like they should stay out of politics. And my response was going to be, I might want to wait till he comes back, or did he have to jump off?
I don't know. That seemed like a technical thing that happened because he didn't say I gotta go. Here you go. He's back. I'm going to bring him back in.
Perfect timing. All right. So
I got cut off. The corporations didn't like what you were saying. So
all right. So what I'm saying is, so you made a point earlier that corporations should stay neutral and stay out of politics, essentially. But I think, you know as well as I do, the Supreme Court made a decision, right? Not too long ago in Citizens United, the Citizens United decision. You all should look it up, saying that corporations have the same speech, freedom and allowances as each of us. Essentially, corporations are people, right? Think of Mitt Romney's famous corporations are people, my friend. And so, and because of that, they can donate endless amounts of dark money, inject it into campaigns to get their ideology and to get essentially their interests met by these public officials. Mm-hmm. And so the idea that corporations should stay neutral, that sounds good in theory, but in practice, based on the laws of this country, they don't have to stay neutral. And they're having a super impact on how we live. And so, I don't think that we should hold Major League Baseball to a different standard than the Koch brothers, right? To a different standard than Sheldon Adelson, to a different standard than all of these conservative billionaires who inject millions and millions and millions of dollars into elections so that they can get more and more contracts with government.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely a fair point. I guess I just see the MLB as something a little bit different than, I don't know, Coca-Cola or something. Like, I see them as they're trying to gather, multiple people from all across America to support their thing. They have a lot of influence.
Coca-Cola wants you to drink their soda morning, noon, and night, whether you're in Alaska or when you're in Missouri, right? Well, the Walton family wants you to shop in Walmart, whether you're in Maine or you're in Arizona. So why do they got?
It's true. No, that is true. But I don't know. I guess just in my head, I feel that sports has more influence, and they run more like a government. So they're its own little separate government. But you're right. Technically, they are a corporation, and they do have the right to go any way. They can be fully Democratic, they could be fully pro-left agenda, Biden, whatever. They have the right to do that. Of course, they are their own person under the law. I just don't think it was smart for MLB in this particular situation to take a side, especially so late in the game if you're going to take a side.
I think that
let me read a comment. Maurice Tisby said the ramifications won't be that great in baseball. You won't see those social demonstrations like you saw in basketball. There's a black majority when it comes to basketball, so the platform was larger for demonstration. I don't know if I've just seen this comment, so he might have been commenting on an earlier topic or this comment. I can't remember, but I just wanted to acknowledge his comment. But you can finish your thought if you still remember it.
No, that's why I was just saying I don't think corporations should be held to a different standard. And I don't think, and again, just to reiterate, I don't think Major League Baseball made a political decision. I think they made a strictly economic decision here.
Got you. All right, so last couple of topics I'm gonna get to before we get up out of here. So the NBA is going to have a play-in game this year. They had it last year. And I guess they voted on it and they agreed that so seeds 7, 8, and 9 and 10 are going to have a play-in tournament. Whoever wins 7 and 8 is going to be the 7th seed, and the 8th seed is going to play the winner of 9 and 10, and the winner of that is going to get the 8th seed. Luka Doncic came out and said it's dumb. Mark Cuban also came out recently, said it was dumb, and I'm going to let you know that right now they are in the 7th seed. So with all that information being said, Cliff, what do you think about the play-in? Do you think it's dumb, and do you agree with them, or are they just saying that because they're in the 7th seed and they're going to have to play that play-in game?
I'm gonna keep it all the way 100 every time I'm on here. I think they're doing this purely. They're going to have eyeballs. There's going to be a whole lot of money at stake. I hate to agree with Mark Cuban. I don't think he's wrong. This is dumb. You're either in the playoffs or you're not in the playoffs. What the hell are we doing here?
Right.
This is dumb. That doesn't need no more eloquent. I don't need to have a special Winston Churchill speech. This is dumb.
It ain't dumb when money is involved. All you got to do is throw some money at the owners. They're like, oh, you get more money? Sure, go ahead, add 2 more teams and let's do it.
Plus, this isn't college tournament. Talk about the 1 game play-in. We're talking about adding 2 series, right? This isn't like a one and done. Is this going to be like a 3 game?
I think it's going to be like the best, like 2 out of 3.
Yeah, so we're talking about providing an astronomical competitive disadvantage to the teams in these playoffs. Is there an expectation that there is going to be an upset? No, all you're doing is creating essentially a David and Goliath type of situation. And no, there is no slingshot that's going to pull them out of this. They're going to have guys that are fighting tooth and nail for two, possibly 3 games. And then they're going to go up against this juggernaut at the top of the conference. Man, get out of here.
Justin, what you think, man? What you think about the play-in game?
I like the concept of I kind of like the concept of it, but I think that it's really starting to disincentivize people to play hard in the season. Me personally, I just like the playoffs. Honestly, season play is it's okay, but it's not as great as like watching the playoffs. And I think that it's gonna just even pump it up for more fans like me. Like, hey, I'm just gonna watch the playoffs. I'm not gonna pay attention to the season. So I don't think that was wise on their part.
Got you. Yeah, man. It's dumb, but Cliff, we gonna watch. You're gonna watch.
Every game. Every game.
Yeah, you go watch. So listen, last thing we want to get out of here, man. We want to condolences to DMX family, man. He ended up passing, I think over the weekend, man, after a battle, after a heart attack. This guy is actually like my generation. When Pac and Biggie died, it was like 96, 95. I was like 11 years old, so we really couldn't listened to him. We listened to him when we got older, but it wasn't smack dab in the middle of our life. DMX was smack dab in the middle of my life. It was like when I first got my first car, CDs, I bought his CDs. This is a big loss for the hip hop community, and just a big loss, period, man. What's your thoughts, Cliff, on DMX? And then Justin, I want to ask you about his spiritual side, because he prayed a lot, and I just got some questions about his life, and as believers, how he walked his story out. But Cliff, what was your thoughts about X passing away?
Yeah, he was something special for me. I mean, you set it up perfectly. We must be like the same age group, because Pac, I listened to him a little bit in elementary, junior high, but it was really high school when DMX was at the height of his really kind of his career. And so I had, I think, 2 of his albums, I think at least Flesh in My Flesh, right? And
yes. By the way, which I think was the best. The second CD, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, I believe was his best album. That's just me. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so I listened to him. I've told this to some of my kids, like my students. I've listened to him before every football game I played in my junior and senior year in high school. Like it was just in the CD player. These kids don't know what a Discman is, but it was those CDs in my Discman before games. So, and as a person, even today, I don't have a very dark voice, a deep voice, and I didn't in high school to have a deep voice. But like I would try to emulate him. So he was something special for me. I mean, he's gonna be missed, and I love like all the tributes and people just talking about the impact that he's had on them. And I love that you guys are about to talk about the spiritual side, because he was one of the first really, not just rappers, but Black men to be vulnerable in a public environment and to allow, because I mean, Black men, we need that, right? It doesn't always have to be you the man, you gotta, right? It's sometimes you can be vulnerable, right? And you can be sensitive. And I think his daughter is gonna is probably hurting more than anybody else in the world right now.
Right. So Justin, and I said this at our poker night, like, he had nothing to gain, in my opinion, by talking about Jesus, praying, and it seemed authentic. His prayer, it was like he knew that he was in a fight, and he knew that he needed someone to help him. And it seemed like, and you all about purpose, and it seems like even though he was in this hip hop culture and this community, it was like he was still out trying to live out his purpose. As you watch, first of all, how did you grow up on DMX? And first of all, did you get a chance to listen to him? I don't know how you was brought up, or whether you was, able to listen to DMX or not, but just your thoughts about what you know about DMX.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knew who DMX was. I mean, I wasn't like, like you guys where I had the CD and I would listen to it, but I mean, how can you avoid a DMX song? I mean, he played it everywhere, like you can't go to a basketball game and not one DMX song and in that era wasn't playing. So, I definitely think, he's an icon, he was someone that definitely impacted culture. I mean, I liked him. I like DMX a lot. I mean, I think, and everybody says that he was just so authentic, and I think that's what people are looking for. Like, people want someone to be authentic. People love authentic leaders. And especially when it comes to spirituality, that's how people connect with you, when you're authentic, not when you're putting on this perfect Hail Mary image that, I've never seen, and I'm perfect. So I mean, I loved it. I loved what he displayed. I love how he talked about his faith. I love how he was bold. He was honest with himself. He would say, part of this is me. Part of this, rough lifestyle is me, but part of the spirituality is me. And I think that's what God's looking for, is authenticity. So I mean, shout out to DMX. He definitely left he definitely left a legacy. I saw one of his videos. He's like, man, if I drop dead, I lived a good life.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the key right there. You can live 80 and have a terrible life, and don't impact anybody, but you live 50 and impact the world. I mean, man, that's more powerful.
Let me ask you this question. As believers, you get a lot of Christians that say, if you're a believer, your life should exhibit Christ. You can't say all the time because nobody's, like you say, nobody's perfect. So you're not going to be perfect, but I guess you're a fruit. I love DMX. I feel like I get the struggle. I know what he was going through, but I've came across Christians who say you can't be for Christ, but also be over here talking about I'll rob you. If we're gonna be honest, DMX had some rough songs.
Right.
If we're gonna be totally honest, he had some rough songs, but he also had some powerful prayers on as well. So for the believers who say you can't be one way but also be this way, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm trying to think about how to word this. There is, I think it's some truth to that statement. I think that if you are going to say you're a believer, that you're a Christian, that you should have some fruit that emulates that. It shouldn't just be like your whole life. Nothing a part of your life shows that. I also think that everybody is on their own journey and their own status. And only God truly knows how close they are to that person. And just because someone has some, flaws in them, we can't just say, "Oh, they don't have no relationship with God. They're not a true Christian," because we don't know what journey they are. My third point is that I think that it shows why it's so important to be around other people that you want to be like, be around other believers, be around to be mentored by people. Just like it's like someone being on a basketball team and they're not the greatest, but they still on the team. They just maybe need a coach to help them along the way. Maybe he's a Shaq where he's terrible at free throws, but he can dunk you. He's good in the hole, right? And so DMX had his gifting. He had his strengths, but maybe he needed someone like a pastor or, some other believers around him to really help him in those other areas where he may have struggled with. So, right now is not the time to, judge this man. It's time to uplift his strengths and the journey. Talk about addiction. I know that it's a debate whether it was actually addiction or not that caused this, but it's good to still have that discussion about, okay, what are we going to society about addiction? Are we going to keep shaming people for having addictions? How are we going to help these people? How does spirituality fit and how does God fit and all that? So I think let's celebrate him, celebrate his strengths, talk about some of the things that, maybe he could have done better and how can we implement that in society? How can we support people like DMX as a church and as a society?
I'm gonna give you the last word on X, man. Any last words that you got about DMX, Cliff?
No, I mean, really, it's. I'm just thinking. I'm trying not to get emotional. I'm just thinking about how young he was, and his daughter's not very. I don't think she's even a teenager yet, right?
Yeah,
I know he also
kids.
has like a. Yeah, he got 15 kids, and he also has a little boy that can't be no more than about 2 or 3.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's tough not to think about the impact on the 15. That's like Shaq numbers. My God.
And Antonio Cromartie numbers.
Yeah, I can't get one, and people walking around here with 15 kids. All right. Anyhow, it's yeah, I mean, it's just sad. And yeah, to Justin's point, I think the stigmatization around addiction needs to be dramatically altered. The same with mental health. I mean, we always stigmatize in the Black community getting therapy when it's like that should be normalized.
Right.
Speaking to a professional about things that you're questioning or that you're struggling with should be uplifted.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, addiction is similar with mental health. I think we need to maybe even encourage each other. I mean, it can start with us, right? Like we have influence over folks, and we could say, hey, if you're struggling with something, you should probably reach out, see if your work offers some hours for free, and see what you can afford. Talk to somebody, get some help. Because if we want people to stay in our lives, if I want to be able to, because I text you like we hadn't talked for probably like 10, 12 months, but I text you out of the blue, you got on the phone with me. Like if you want to be able to have those connections with folks until we're old and wrinkly, you got to keep people supported. And sometimes that means support them in things that you might not think are normal, which could be like speaking to a therapist or getting help for addiction.
Right.
Got it. Great words, man. Well, man, we got through it all, man. I went over everybody. I need y'all to subscribe to the YouTube, follow, like, and review the Facebook page, follow on Instagram. You see my man with the blue Allen Powell's merch, man. Always merch for sale. If you want to purchase your own Allen Powell's merch, holler at me. If you want to advertise your business, whatever you got going on, books, authors, politicians, whatever. If you want to advertise, message me, and we're going to eventually get the podcast thing together. Scripture for the day is Romans 12:2. I was in my word today. Nothing really stuck out to me, but as I was getting closer to the show, I guess I was just looking at my own life, man, and I can just like Romans 12:2 hit me like because I had a moment yesterday. It was like, man, I have to renew my mind every day. And that's what Romans 12:2 say. But for me, it's like, man, because we in this flesh, it's like our emotions jump up a lot. And when people get on our nerves, or stuff don't go the way we think it should go, our initial reaction is to get angry. And I guess I would just speak for myself. That a lot of time that's my reaction. And it came to me that I have to renew my mind, man, and not look at things on the surface as what it is. And so that scripture stuck out to me. I think it could help somebody. And it says, don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. And so we have to change the way we think when we come against opposition of different things or other people. So I just leave that with you. Hopefully that you read that passage, it encourages you. And that's that. Attorney Justin Kappa, appreciate you joining us, brother. Cliff holding us down from LA. I will see everyone next Tuesday. I think I'm going to be moving the time to 8 p.m. because in the summertime, I want people to enjoy the long hours of daylight and come holler at us after the sunshine is gone. So I'm thinking next week, 8 p.m. Central, and I think that would work better for Cliff as well, so he don't have to be rushing all over the place to get to us. But once again, I appreciate all of y'all. We'll see y'all next week. We are out.
We lock and load, Allen Powell's.